morning. It is Friday, October 2nd.
Has broken.
And morning has broken, and so has Jonathan. I am your consecrated host, Father Jeff.
I'm your consecrated host, Jonathan.
Baptism, confirmation, holy orders, you figure it out. So here we are, it's Friday. How are you doing?
Got my flannel on.
I know, it kind of got a little cooler here towards the end of the week, and it's definitely very fallish. It's beautiful fall. It's not like cold fall.
Rainy, miserable.
It's not that. We have some nice sunshine, light breezes. You know.
You can get used to this.
It's fall. Have you done any fall things lately? Have you roasted marshmallows? Have you gone to the pumpkin patch? Have you...
So we've got a membership to Vallis.
Ah.
Family membership to Vallis.
Okay.
We got the...
It's a local pumpkin patch if you're not from the area.
So Vallis Pumpkin Patch. It's huge.
It's like an amusement park sort of thing, but not like an amusement park. You know?
So...
if that made any sense at all.
Yeah. So last Black Friday, because they keep raising the prices at Vallis, and I got our family membership last Black Friday.
Okay.
And so we got last year's special prices.
Premium.
So yeah, it was really good.
Good.
But we've gone 4 or 5 times now.
Already this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we go now. When we moved about 5 minutes away. Not even.
You're closer now than
Just down the road. We live just off of the road that Vallis is actually on.
Ah, okay.
And so we are very close to it.
You can
so
walk there.
Well, I wouldn't. It's a little too far to walk.
Yeah,
but
a little bit.
We go there for maybe an hour and a half. So like instead of going to a park, we just go to Vallis.
Yeah. Okay, because you have a pass.
Because we have the pass,
And
we can go in. And once you're in, there's tons of things you can do that you don't have to pay for.
Is it like super crowded?
No.
Really?
No, I think they put out a post on Sunday saying that it was extra low. Just the crowds and things like that. So, no, and we like to go during the week when it's not normally going to be as crowded anyways. But we went on Saturday and...
It's still early enough where people haven't really gotten into... I don't think people have realized it's fall yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's this year where it's like I don't even know what season it is anymore. So I think fall.
Vallis is open.
I think fall has kind of smacked us upside the head, and it's like, what? How did it get October already? Oh my gosh, it's fall. What's happening?
We'll see this weekend now, since now it's October.
True.
We're in October.
Yeah.
People think of Vallis for October, so.
I see the pumpkins out on people's porches, and the fall decorations are coming out, and so I think people are getting into that mindset. You know, I've never been to Vallis.
You haven't been to the zoo in years either.
I go nowhere. I just kind of stay home, and I sit here and read my books.
Well, we need to get you a pumpkin in here.
We should do some, we should do some more fall decorating. We can put it over there, maybe over there. Hang one from the chandelier over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds exciting.
So that's the extent of our fall.
So you're doing fall things.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I bet the kids enjoy it.
They love it. And I love it. It just is such a great way to, especially Vallis, it's family time, and you can see the excitement and joy in their eyes. And
it's good to be outside, too.
It is fun to be outside.
Especially when the weather is so nice. Yeah.
It is.
So if you haven't been to Vallis and you're in the area, this might be a good time to do so before it really starts to pick up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and while the weather is still very, very pleasant in its fallness.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I have not done a whole lot fall myself. Have I done anything? Except the fall festival.
Fall festival.
I did put some pumpkins on my front porch. I think that's about it.
Wow.
I haven't done any.
I
haven't pulled out the sweaters yet, and I don't have flannel clerics. So.
Ooh, do they make flannel clerics?
I don't believe they do.
They could probably have an all black flannel.
A black plaid.
Not plaid.
But flannel you have to have. It's got to be plaid. It's like a rule.
It's a rule.
It is a rule. So you'd have to do like a black on a dark gray on a charcoal kind of grid work. And you'd have to retool that collar. But, yeah, I don't know. I haven't worn flannel in forever.
I haven't worn flannel since
long sleeve
last
shirts.
Friday.
I know, you like your flannel. Oh, Jonathan, before we do this, it's October 2nd. It's a feast. Another angel.
Guardians.
The guardian angels. So we had on Tuesday, the 29th, we had the holy archangels. Today, we have all of the guardian angels. Bazillions of them.
And did those fit in the thing that we put
angels
up in the choirs?
Angels.
They're just angels.
They're just angels. I'm assuming.
Because there's not guardians. I don't remember seeing any guardians.
Right, no. Guardian angels, I'm sure they're just angels.
But even the lowest angel is pretty, like...
Pretty whatever.
You're starting to...
Pretty remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the guardian angels, it's this... the scriptures talk about that there's an angel that guards our ways. The Lord Jesus talks about how the angels of the little ones are always gazing upon the Father. So there's references in scripture that there are angelic guides, and if God is wanting to reveal Himself to us, He speaks to us through these messengers and through these angels. And so the Catholic tradition is that every human soul is entrusted to a particular guardian angel to help him. He's over here. He's standing right here next to you. To show you the way to heaven, to help prevent the evil one from getting in there. So those sorts of things. And I don't know what people think of when they think of guardian angels. What are you doing?
I was fist bumping my guardian angel. I figure the more I interact with my guardian angel, the more my guardian angel...
That's right. So Jonathan, why don't you go over there, and I'm going to do the rest of the show with my guardian angel.
Never thought you'd ask.
We love our guardian angels. I encourage you to pray to your guardian angel, especially when you're feeling kind of down or tempted or alone or whatever, that just to remember how near God is to you. And that's really the angel's job, to open up your realization of how close God is, to protect you from the snares of the devil, to guide you to heaven, etc. Yeah, angels are good. Guardian angels even better, or the same as good. I don't know. I'm just rambling. It's Friday. It's been a long week.
Oh my gosh.
My allergies are still. Perhaps you can hear it. I don't know what this morning is going on, but all right, we got some stuff to talk about.
Chapter 23, Michael Jordan chapter.
Okay, it has nothing to do with Michael Jordan.
All the young viewers will know what I'm talking about.
Really?
23.
So what was his number? He has nothing to do with this.
He does have nothing to do with
All right,
this.
Michael Jordan. That's what you titled it. Jordan, Michael. So we dive into this chapter, and we remember our patient last chapter fell in love with a nice girl, a Christian girl. She's spiritual.
A vile, repulsive,
holy person.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember Screwtape didn't like her very well. Didn't approve.
So he's made a good selection.
Exactly. The patient has. So now what Screwtape is like, this is the thing about the evil one. Once he doesn't stop and he doesn't constantly hammer the same note. So he's seeing like, okay, we're not getting through that way. Let's pivot a little bit. Now let's pivot a little bit. So constantly adjusting to try to, he's like a negative algorithm.
Yeah.
He's working on you, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and just kind of zooming in. So what does he realize? It's like, okay, now this guy has got this girl to support him, and they're like growing in their spirituality together. He says it may be quite impossible to remove spirituality from his life. Very well, then you must corrupt it. So you use that holiness, use that goodness, and turn it upside down, twist it, corrupt
Twist it.
Remember, twisting, that's always the evil one's
Take a
thing.
good, twist it into something bad.
Make it bad. Really bad. And so he tells Wormwood to practice turning himself into an angel of light. this kind of goes down that path of good intentions again.
Mm-hmm.
That the evil one often presents himself as good. Like, just do this bad thing for the sake of achieving this good end. That makes sense to people in a twisted, kind of shadowy bit of your mind. And so the evil one comes with good intentions. Mm-hmm. You will be better if you do this. You will help more people if you do that.
Look at all the good that will happen when you kill all the fish in the ocean. You get to feed everybody right now.
That's a wild example.
Well, that's what it came out of my mouth.
I know. Sometimes that's what happens. You just start talking.
But you take all the fish in the world.
Feed all the people.
Feed all the people.
Wonderful.
And then now, what do you do next week?
Now you have to eat squid. It's Friday. Did I tell you? I think there's a full moon kind of coming up. That's my guess.
That's
okay.
I think you are a werewolf.
So we are corrupting the good. We're taking the good and we're twisting it. And so he's talking about the main temptations here, and he's talking about the world and the flesh have failed us. Mm-hmm. That we're not able to corrupt our man just by the world. We're not able to corrupt the man by his own physical temptations. So the only other one is to tempt him by the Spirit. So let's get into these spiritual things and try to tempt him. These were the temptations that Jesus faced in the desert. Mm-hmm. If you remember, the evil one tempted him with his flesh. Feed yourself, you're hungry. With the world, you could be king of the world. You could be a powerful man if you just do these things. And if you just fall down and worship me, if you just turn that spiritual, and test God, there's that. Yeah. That it's like you just test the spirituality thing. If it's really true, God's gonna save you. Just twist that a little bit. Take something true and twist it. So that's what's happening here. So now here's a line. We're looking around those new friends, remember, that set that's really enmeshed in the world. And he says that I find the best point of attack would be the borderline between theology and politics. The two things you're never supposed to talk about in polite company.
That and money.
Well, that's true. Three things. Theology and politics. Don't touch those things because those are sensitive issues. And right now, he says his new friends are very much alive to the social implications of their religion. And that's the key. So they're not, these worldly friends are not so much concerned about holiness and salvation, but they are concerned about all of these causes. We're going to save the whales. We're going to save the trees. We're going to save the babies. We're going to save that. You could just name, whether you're on the right or on your left, pick a social topic, and that's what we're going to do.
Yep.
We're going to do these things, a social project. We're going to feed the hungry. They're all good things.
All good things.
Most of them.
All the ones that you just named.
Yes, they're all good things.
All good things.
And we're going to use our religion to get those social things done. Mm-hmm. There's the problem. So he outlines now a plan of attack, Jonathan. First of all, number one, we have to understand what's at the heart of Christianity, and kind of being the former focused missionary, evangelization, discipleship guy.
Wow.
If you were to sum that up, how would you describe that to someone? How would you describe that to here's the nutshell of the heart of Christianity.
God created us for a relationship. We sinned. That relationship got broken. We needed to fix the relationship. God sent Jesus to restore that relationship. Jesus died on the cross, restore the relationship for us, but we have to accept it. We have to come to him and reach out.
Those are the four elements of the kerygma.
Yeah.
The kerygma, the basic preaching of the gospel.
You can't put me on You did not warn me about this at all.
This should be in your blood.
And it is, luckily.
It is in your blood.
You could have thrown me something, I might have just...
You did it. That was awesome. You did a great job. I trusted you in that. Otherwise, I would have had to fire you. So, don't even know the charisma. What the heck?
You had one job. One job.
And that's kind of, at the core. So, that's what he says here. That really, what has happened is that we want to switch all of this around. And we don't want people to be focusing on that. And we'll get more to that later. We want people now to just focus on this person, Jesus. And let's take it out of that story, that basic story that you just told. And let's look at Jesus as a man. Let's look at Jesus as a historical figure like any other man that ever lived.
Yeah, I put down just like as a figurehead. He is the figurehead for saving all the whales, all of that. It's just like, this is what Jesus would want us to do.
Jesus represents this. Jesus represents that. And the historical Jesus basically wants to say, there was this movement, and I think there are still some theologians who kind of go down this movement, that to find the real Jesus is to find the historical Jesus. And I put in historical Jesus in quotes because he says later on, for each historical Jesus, that is, every generation tries to do this, is unhistorical. That you end up taking bits and pieces and you never see the whole picture. Mm-hmm. So the historical Jesus is, this is what we know about where he lived, what he did, what he taught, what he said. And what we want to do is we want to make him just like everyone else. Mm-hmm. Take away anything that was really at the heart is the charisma that you just said. We just want to boil it down to this man did some stuff.
He was a really great guy.
Exactly. He was a good teacher. He was a model person, etc., etc. So we take this historical Jesus, and the reason they call it the historical Jesus is because they want to pull Christ's divinity out of him, as if that's not a real thing. He's just a man. And what happened, these theologians will say, is that later on in history, the people who became Christian made Jesus the man into a godlike figure. So they mythologized him.
Wow.
And so when we look at what these Christians said about this Jesus, we're getting a distorted picture. So we have to cut through all of the crap and find the historical Jesus. One of the best examples of this would be Thomas Jefferson. If you're familiar with the Jefferson Bible, Thomas Jefferson took the Gospels and deleted every miracle from Jesus' life because he felt that they were add-ons from mythological retellings of Jesus' life. So all that remains is the historical stuff of he was a man, he taught some things, he had some disciples, he was crucified, he died.
It would be really interesting to read that and just get it to see if you could even get anything out of it.
I don't understand why you would be a Christian. And this also confuses me too, that some of the Christian right or the evangelical whatevers, they will hold up the founding fathers as model Christians, that our nation was built upon this thing. Not really. That's a little bit of a lie, because their notion of Jesus was very deist, that God did not intervene in the world in a miraculous way. And so I don't know that we want to hold up Franklin and Jefferson and some of those others as model Christians for how to live in the United States.
I mean, they're not saints.
No, not really.
Walking on water. That's preposterous.
We can't have that. So let's delete it from the scriptures. And that's this idea of the historical Jesus. So the evil one is saying, well, let's try to intellectualize your guy. If he's going to be smart, let's make him a smarty pants and say, oh, I couldn't possibly believe a miracle. That's silly. Let's just pretend that didn't happen, because I'm sure it didn't, and we see Jesus in a completely different way.
Yeah.
So he becomes nothing more than a great moral teacher.
Not so what I'm willing to die for.
Yeah, I just, teachers are great, and they change your lives, but if he's just a teacher, then I don't know if I'm willing to give my life to that, no matter how good a teacher he is.
Not change my life and give up your life.
I might want to listen to him and subscribe to his podcast, but that's about it. It's going to be just a small part of my life. Yeah. So then the third step. So what have we done? We've made Jesus into just this historical figure. We have taken away his divinity and made him now a great man. When you do that, you destroy the devotional life.
There's nothing to devote to.
Exactly. Again, I might be a follower on Twitter, but I'm not going to let it change my life. And that's what happens here. We destroy the devotional life. The real presence of God, otherwise experienced by men in prayer and sacrament, we substitute with a merely probable, remote, shadowy, and uncouth figure, one who spoke a strange language and died a very long time ago. So that's what happens with Jesus. And even this notion of God, it is almost embracing that deist understanding of God. God is this faraway, shadowy, remote figure, and even in Jesus, there's not much we really know about him. And so, pull out of him whatever you can get. Whatever works for you in his teachings. And so now we're no longer praying to him. You're thinking about him. You're no longer engaging in the sacraments that he established, so there's no real encounter. So you're left with, a vapid spirituality.
Nothing. I mean, it's...
Can we quote you on that? Okay.
Yeah, I just...
Okay. You have nothing to add. Nope.
No, I mean, then you lose the relationship. Going back to the kerygma, we were created for relationship. God wants to be involved in our lives.
Right.
Is involved in our lives. And so when you cut that off and you can't have the relationship, and you can't have the sacraments are what bring heaven and earth and kind of just bring us together.
Yeah, it's the bridge. The sacraments become the bridge between today and that remote figure 2,000 years ago who spoke a different language. Like, he knew that was going to be a thing. So he gave us the sacraments to, in a sense, suspend space and time,
right,
and bring us together, so that when we celebrate the Eucharist, we are celebrating the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We are there, present in a very real way, but spiritual way that connects us to that moment. Mm-hmm. And that without that, well, yeah, he's just this memory.
It's just a fairy tale.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what this is all breaking it down to. It's Paul Bunyan, any fairy tale, just a great man. Blah, blah, blah.
Great man.
He gave some fish to some people.
I was going to say something, but there may be children watching, so I won't say it. Another great story that has evolved over history of a great man who may or may not be real and travels around at midnight bringing things to people. Fill in the blank. Anywho, moving on. I believe. Do you believe?
I believe.
All right. So we move into this we get to the kerygma now.
Yes.
So here he says, once we've done all of these things, what happens is we realize that the very earliest people were converted because of the kerygma. And he even narrows it down to two things: redemption and the resurrection. That this man rose from the dead. And really, if you want to narrow that down, I mean, that is what, without the resurrection, there is no Christianity. There is no preaching of Jesus Christ. There is no paying attention to Jesus Christ. Because he really was an unsuccessful nobody. I mean, he had a following, and by the end of his life, he lost most of that following. So if you were looking at his followers on YouTube, you would have seen that he reached a couple thousand followers, and then by the time he died, he had maybe a couple dozen followers. So he really shed his YouTube following. And that would be, he was very unsuccessful.
Well, and even at the cross, then it was down to...
Yeah, they all ran away. There may have been someone who just forgot to delete their account, but...
John and Mary?
Yeah, Mary Magdalene, a couple other Marys. There's a lot of Marys around that cross.
John and the Marys.
John and the Marys, exactly. So, by all intents and purposes, Jesus was unsuccessful at what he did. If the resurrection didn't happen, the ridiculousness of Christianity, I mean, it just makes no sense. How does this thing even get traction? Because in the world, this man was a failure. John the Baptist was more successful at his death than Jesus was. John the Baptist had all these, the kings were asking about who he was. The kings wanted to hear. I mean, yes. I mean, this is the thing, Jonathan, that converts my heart. The resurrection. That sends this message, this story out to the world, that it convinced those early believers because they experienced it. That's the historical Jesus, without quotes.
Yeah.
That is the historical Jesus, the one who rose from the dead.
Well, you just look at Peter. He was afraid, even just when Jesus was being imprisoned.
Yep.
He was so afraid that he wouldn't even say he belonged to him. Something happened, and it wasn't just some potion he drank, that he just said, nope, does not matter. I'm willing to die. Not just be imprisoned, willing to die. Saying something that is more preposterous than anything that Jesus did in his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
the apostles really put themselves out on a ledge. Literally on Pentecost. They stood out on the ledge and they preached to all of those people so that they could be seen and heard by thousands. So there's something about the resurrection, and then you talk about the redemption, that you are saved. There's the heart of it, and that's what converts the earliest Christians. So if we can, as the evil one, if we can get people to just think of this guy as a great teacher, even a moral teacher who gives, good advice, then you see the Gospels as being not a whole lot. They're just stories. They're fancy fairy tales.
Yeah, earlier he just says, suppression at one point and exaggeration at another. That, okay, you exaggerate the fairy tales, but... the miracles.
Right.
But you can't, it does not make, you can't, our lives do not make sense if that's the case.
Absolutely. And so what you're left with is a non-God who maybe kind of sort of serves as a compass for living in this world. And that brings us to then why the historical Jesus and this kind of approach is so deadly. Because what it does to the believer and to the Christian is it makes their Christianity, their Christian faith, not the end to which they are moving, but rather a means to another end. So my end, let's go back to what we were talking about before, my end is something good, social justice. My end is equality among the races. My end is protection for the unborn. Whatever my end is, again, whether you're on the right or the left and whatever cause you're embracing, my Christianity says that's an important thing. Like Jesus would have supported that. So I am a Christian to work towards that. And my whole life is about establishing social justice. It's about protecting the unborn. It's about feeding the poor. It's about protecting the environment. Whatever it is, my Christianity is my motivation for doing that, and that ultimately is my end. I want to establish that. And that's a backwards, that's twisted, because now I'm using Jesus to get some earthly thing accomplished. As opposed to Jesus is my goal, and this thing over here is a help to that goal.
Right. It should be because of Jesus.
Right.
I do these things.
Right.
Not I do these things, or because of these things I follow Jesus. It's like, oh well, Christians support all the little babies, unborn babies.
Yep.
So I'm going to be a Christian because I love the unborn babies. Well, you're suppressing everything else and exaggerating that one thing.
It really is dissolving the spiritual reality and highlighting the worldly reality. So I can't focus on heaven because may not exist. So I have to focus on building paradise here. And if you look at a lot of what our politicians are saying on both sides of the aisle, they are trying to build a paradise here. That if I am the one that am elected, if our party is the one that is in power, you are going to have respect for the dignity of the human person. You're going to have racial equality. You're going to have a world that with clean air and clean water. You are going to have peace. You can name it. They're saying all these good things that we should be striving for, but ultimately the goal is not to save people. It's to make a paradise so that we can live in it for as long as we can live, and then we're going to die. I mean, that's really it. You're going to die, so build up your paradise here, because you can't count on anything.
And the funny thing is, without Jesus, you can't even approach to attain any of those things. So
there it is.
That's the only way, is because of Jesus.
So this attack that Screwtape highlights today is to take spirituality, Jesus, the church, religion, whatever, unspiritualize it, and just make it of this world. And then it becomes empty. I know I've told this before. I recently gave a homily at one of our Catholic high schools, Catholic, and I reminded them of something that I think C.S. Lewis talks about in Mere Christianity, another one of his most famous works, which was a series of radio programs that he did. And he said, when it comes to Jesus Christ, there are only three ways to approach him. He is either a liar, that he knew he was just a man and he said he was God. If that's the case, you can't follow that man. He's a liar. He was a lunatic, that he really thought he was the Son of God and he was just a man. If that's the case, you can't follow him because he was crazy. The only other reality is that he knew who he was, and he actually was what he said, which means he is Lord of the universe and of my life, and everything must change. Liar, lunatic, Lord. There are no other options. So you have to choose.
He can't be a good man.
He cannot be a good
Just a good man.
If he is a liar or a lunatic. It's impossible to be a good man. It's impossible to be a good teacher. It's impossible to be a good moral leader if you're a liar or a lunatic. The only other option is he is Lord. And if he's not Lord, then you need to walk away from Christianity and walk away fast.
Yeah. Turn off this program right now, because this is a Catholic morning show.
And we claim Jesus as our Lord. What did you title your chapter?
I'm titling it now. Usually you go first, and I have time to write it.
I know. Jonathan never knows what he's going to say.
Jesus, now, always, and forever.
I think it's yesterday, today, and forever is the scriptural quote.
I wasn't trying to be scriptural.
Oh, okay. I read myself in the Bible.
Always and forever.
Didn't we say the other day ignorance of Scripture is ignorance of Christ?
Yep.
Yeah,
now, always and forever, Lord. I
titled mine, History is for the Past.
Is that in the Bible?
Gosh. We are going to go away for the weekend, and I will see you all on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Ciao, ciao.